Howdy. Welcome to another episode of the Be More Successful Show. Today, we're talking about dysfunctional teams. So let's start off by even looking at what is a dysfunctional team. A dysfunctional team is a team that is not communicating well with each other. It is a team that isn't really collaborating with each other. They're not really engaged with you in the business. They're not always on the same page as you as the business owner. A lot of times when you've got dysfunctional teams, you'll have team members that just, that communication part's so important. They just shut down, like they stop talking. They go, okay. And then there's no interaction, right? As part of that, you don't see your employees taking ownership. You don't see them taking leadership in the company. And likely they're the first person out the door at 5 o'clock. Not that that's a ultimate marker, but a lot of those are symptoms of a dysfunctional team. So today we're talking about how do we turn a dysfunctional team into a more engaged team and what that does for you in the business. Where you, depending on where you're on their journey, what I would say is this is really relevant to anyone that has a team or is growing a team up to maybe 50. And here's the reason why I would say 50, because after a certain point in time, more bodies mask the problem. And the problem, while still important to address, doesn't have the same implications as it does the smaller your team is. So I've gone into environments where I've seen this be, a management team of 5, a company of 30, down to 3. So it really is, if you've got 2 or more people working together in your business, this is something to take a look at. When you have a dysfunctional team, there are some things I want you to realize. One is you may be driving a bus going north, but your team likely is trying to go south. And so you're going to find a lot more friction in your growth or scalability journey. A lot more friction. You're going to feel like, man, we just never get ahead. You also will not be operating at operational efficiency. So not operating at an operational efficiency, that impacts your profitability. It really does turn into a bottom line number. It impacts the future cost of growth because the fix that people try to put into this place, instead of working on the quality of the team and the team interaction, they try to throw bodies at it. And that's my saying that I say anytime we try to hire to fix the problem, we're not fixing the problem. We're throwing bodies at it. We're putting a Band-Aid on the problem. When you've got this kind of situation going on, you really are, I don't know, you're dying that silent death of 1,000 cuts, right? It is invisible to see, but it is a slow kind of march down the wrong path. So we don't want that. Left unchecked, people's reaction as their frustration grows, both your reaction, because you'll show up this way just as much as an employee will, but your reaction starts to be one that breeds negativity. And so a lot of times what I'll see is there's a couple situations here. We may get into a team, and really what the problem is that there's an individual or a small group of individuals who have locked in, doubled down, are going double barrel negativity in the workplace, and it's shutting everyone else down. And the longer that's allowed to go, the more the morale erodes. And I will tell you right now, if you've got something like that happening on your team, I do not care how good they are at whatever part you think they're good at, whether it's, oh, but our clients love them. Oh, but they are the best at this. Oh, but they hold this certification. Oh, but they've been here the longest. All of those things are excuses that you're telling yourself on why you haven't addressed this issue. This issue is cancerous. It is cancerous in a business, and it spreads like wildfire. You can recover from it. But I will tell you, the longer you allow it to go on, the more recovery you're going to have. So you as a business owner really do have to kind of nip some of these things in the bud. And as you are on your journey into scalability, into pulling together more people than you can directly manage, right? Which is generally around 5 or 6. That's pretty much the upper echelon of what you can directly manage. Then you're going to have to really take a look at how the team works together and how they communicate and how they can actually be used as a method or a foundation, like we talked about, to be able to grow your business and scale and just be a good win-win-win situation. So we're going to talk about 3 key areas, and each of these areas are equally important. What I will say is the turning around the dysfunctional team to become more engaged is not a one bullet solution. Typically, there's a lot of things that come into play, but we're going to talk about 3 kind of broad categories. The first is you. You are a part of the problem. I love you dearly. I truly do. I want the very best for you. That's why we do the Be More Successful show, because we do believe in every business owner's right to prosper, right? And ability to prosper. And we're here to further that. But I need you to understand that you're probably part of the problem. So there's a lot of things there that I'm going to give you here. First off, I want you to understand when to lead from where. As the leader of the business, there is some things we need to make sure that you are clearly communicating where you're leading from the front. That is your vision. That is your purpose, your values, your goals, your opportunity. We also lead from the front when we're in times of change. Right now, huge change everywhere, right? So the need to be leading from the front is that much greater. But so that's when you lead from the front. If you over lead from the front, you don't allow your team to do what you hired them to do. And that's an honest to gosh part that builds dysfunction in a team. Then you also need to understand when to lead from the middle. Now, that leading from the middle is a little bit more like a facilitator, if you will. It's a collaborator. It's what do you need to be well supported? Where do you need to go? Where are your bottlenecks? How can I free those up? It's doing it in here. How can we do this together? I want to hear your viewpoint. I want to hear your ideas. Wow, that's a fabulous idea. That is that kind of leading from the middle aspect. And for a while, especially if you've not delegated well or haven't really given distributed authority to your team, then you're going to need to lead from the middle. You're going to have to lead by example and show them what it is that you expect so that they learn the rules of the game. That's part of your job too. So the last part of the leadership is know when to lead from behind. Now, leading from behind should be almost your ultimate goal. For the most part, most business owners are too central in their business. It's one of those things that makes it really difficult for you to sell your business if that's one of your retirement goals. So when we lead from behind, we put the strength into the business. And so when you lead it behind, you're more that guide, if you will. You're able to have a broader strategic vision in your business, and your team handles most of the details. When you get into those, so I want you to understand that was when do you lead from where and how do you use that? You probably need to get out from the front. You need to do a little more of that and then start leading from the middle so that you ultimately can lead from behind. The second part is kind of a saying that, grandma told us way back when, or our teachers maybe, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you need to listen twice as much as you speak. Watch your words. For the longest period of time, it's been about you. It's been about what you've done. It's been about what your ideas are, what you think will work, what you won't work. If you truly want your team to take ownership, you're going to need to allow them to succeed, and you're going to need to allow them to learn through failure. Just because it didn't work for you does not mean it won't work for them. And so watch your ability to give your 2 cents. If your 2 cents aren't worth $1.50, keep your 2 cents. Add in a little bit of way to go, sounds great, can't wait, let me know what you need from me. But keep your 2 cents to yourself. Because again, we're trying to get out from leading in the front all the time. Watch your negativity comments, watch your sarcasm, and really watch the excuses that you might be sharing with your team about why something hasn't changed. Okay, you're here to facilitate. You're here to help facilitate that change. And so you do need to bring the positivity to the table more so than anyone else. If you want a positive team, you're going to need to lead by example with this guy. So the third element will be really about re-engaging your team. There's one question that I love, and it's from Brene Brown's Dare to Lead. I always have to look because their books are named so similarly. Dare to Lead. It's the question of, what would heaven look like? Ask your employees that, especially if you're about to institute change. What would heaven look like for you in this business? And then close your mouth. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to comment on any of it. You are there purely to listen and take notes and to thank them for their transparency with you. That one question, I will tell you, we've reorganized teams over that, the responses from one of those questions. So it's a really impactful question that you can ask. Set the groundwork for tough conversations, because in order for the team to come together, they're going to have to resolve some of those issues. And some of those issues may be with you. Some of the issues may be in our team, right? And so we need to set the groundwork for tough conversations. We need to make give them framework to be able to approach their coworker or approach their direct report, or maybe some of the people that report to them, so that they can move past this and into a new kind of team order. Practice transparency and collaboration. Transparency is one of the hardest things, I think, for a business owner to go. Now, I don't know that you need to go all the way to open book management, which is extreme transparency. All the financials are open for an employee review. There are some really good reasons to do that. But for a lot of people, that's really scary. So if you think about it, people will tell themselves a story when they're trying to make sense of what they're seeing and what they're experiencing. If somebody doesn't tell them the story of what's happening, they will fill in the blanks. And we don't always fill in the blanks well. And that happens in our personal life and our professional life. So be transparent enough. And that's, one of those keys of even vulnerability is not verbally vomiting on people, not oversharing for people, but being vulnerable enough so that people can relate. Which brings us into another tip for you. Allow for true connection. Allow space in the work period for a little fun. A bit of culture, especially if it reinforces your values, but also I'm talking about true connection. You shouldn't be an ultimate stranger to the person in the cube next to you. So ways that actually bring in that conversation that can be brought in with team meetings. They can be done with, we used to do quarterly, we called them quarterly culture days. We actually did education in the morning, had lunch together, and then we went and did something fun in the afternoon. And this different team member would put that together every quarter. So it wasn't even something I did in my own business, but I participated in, right? And it just allows for people to build better relationships with each other. So you're still going to need to define the rules of the game. That's your role. That's that bit of leading from the front. But if your business is going to be more successful, if it's going to be more profitable and more set up for scalability, you're going to have to get yourself out of the center. You got to get yourself out of the mucky muck and allow the people that you've brought to your team to really do their best work. And if they can't do that in your environment, allow them to go somewhere where they can. They deserve that, and so do you. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you're doing well. This has been Leslie Hassler. I own Your Biz Rules Business Coaching. We help service-based businesses get growth and scalability right so that you have great cash flow, and it's a heck of a lot easier to do than how it may be right now. So that's it for today, guys. If you like today's episode, please comment below. Please share it with your friends. And until then, we'll be talking with you soon.